All right, let's talk about the Kingman, Arizona real estate market. We're going to dig into the data to really understand what was going on as we wrapped up 2025. So let's get right into it. So, this is the $1 million question, isn't it? After a whole year of changes, is the Kingman market finally cooling off, or is it secretly heating up for the new year? The data is actually telling two different stories at once. It's pretty fascinating. So here is how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with a big picture look at the whole year. Then we'll zoom right into what happened in December. After that, we'll see what it tells us about supply and demand, and most importantly, what all this actually means for you. To really get this, we're going to use two different tools. First, we'll pull out the telescope for that big, wide angle view of the entire year. Then we'll switch to the microscope to get a super close up look at what happened in that final crucial month. First up, the telescope. Okay, let's grab that telescope and take a look at the big picture for 2025, especially how it stacks up against the year before. So, right off the bat, the first thing you see is that prices cooled off a little. The median sales price for the year dipped by about 3.4% compared to 2024. Now, on the surface, you see that and you think, okay, the market's taking a breather. But hold on, this is where the story gets a little bit tricky. Because even with those slightly lower prices, the market was actually busier. More homes were sold, over 4% more than the year before. So activity was definitely up. And here's the other side of that coin. It took quite a bit longer to sell those homes. The median time a house sat on the market jumped to 35 days. That's a huge increase, almost 35%. It really tells us the market was finding more of a balance. Buyers had a little more time to think. So let's put it all together. Our big picture telescope view for the year is, well, it's a mixed bag, right? We have a busy market with more sales, but prices were a little softer and homes took longer to sell. This is kind of our baseline understanding. Okay, telescope away. It's time to zoom all the way in. We're going to pull out the microscope and see what was really happening right there at the finish line in December of 2025. Now, check this out. On the left, you've got that whole year story we just talked about. Kind of steady, kind of balanced. But then you look at the report on the right, just for December, and whoa, it is telling a completely different tale. And that's really the key here. The year as a whole might have looked like it was gently tapping the brakes, but December looks like it slammed on the accelerator. Let's get into the specifics. Get ready for this. We're talking a nearly 30% jump in closed sales in 1 month from November to December. I mean, that's huge. Right when you think things would be slowing down for the holidays, buyers were out there in force. And here's the kicker. At the exact same time, all those buyers were flooding the market. The number of new houses for sale, it went the other way. It dropped by over 25%. So you've got this classic squeeze, way more people shopping and way fewer new options to look at. And this monthly report just lays it all out, doesn't it? Look at that, 97 sales closed, which is a big number for the end of the year. But only 65 new homes came on the market. That's the microscope view in a nutshell, a serious end of year flurry that tightened the market up big time. So we have the telescope view and the microscope view, two really different pictures. Now, let's put it all together and figure out what's really going on with supply and demand. This table right here, it makes everything crystal clear. Look at the yearly trend. Supply, which is the new listings, grew a bit faster than demand, the sales. That explains why homes sat on the market longer. But then look at December, it's the complete opposite. Supply craters and demand just goes through the roof. So when you boil it all down, what's the real story of the Kingman market? It's not a slowdown, not at all. The real story is that a surprise wave of strong buyer demand showed up late in the year and just soaked up a shrinking supply of homes. Okay, numbers and trends are one thing, but what does this actually mean for you? If you're thinking about buying or selling a home in Kingman right now, let's go to the practical takeaways. So, what should you take away from all this? Well, if you're a buyer, that December craziness is a big heads up. Competition for good homes is still very real, so you got to be ready to act fast. Now, if you're a seller, this is great news. Less inventory means more eyeballs on your property, making it a pretty good time to list. The one thing everyone should be watching is the inventory level. That's the whole ballgame. If it stays low, prices will likely start ticking up in 2026. The bottom line, the Kingman market isn't just up or down. It's a dynamic place where motivated buyers are really driving the action. And all of this leaves us with one big burning question. When you have this powerful combo of super strong buyer demand and tightening inventory, what on earth is the first quarter of 2026 going to look like in the Kingman market? I guess we'll just have to wait and see.